Welcome back to the Shortsighted podcast. Today we're talking to Joonas, who has improved his myopia from -2 diopters about 2 years ago to now where he mostly doesn't need lenses during the day and wears half diopter occasionally when he needs it. It's been a very interesting journey. It's especially interesting if you're yourself in low myopia territory or soon to be there. We're talking a fair bit about some of the challenges that you encounter in the last diopter. Here's Joonas.
My name is Joonas. I started the Endmyopia journey pretty much exactly 2 years ago. And I was at -1.75 with my glasses and -2 with my contacts. And had that prescription roughly 10 years before I started this journey. Today I'm at -0.5. -0.75 at night, roughly speaking. And during the day, in sunny days like this, I don't need glasses. Like the -0.5 or no glasses doesn't make a big difference. So quite a intense 2 years, I would say, in a good way. Like I probably improved 80% of my journey in the first 6 months. Going from -1.75 glasses to -0.5 where I'm at now, pretty much in 6-7 months. And after that, I've been struggling a bit to improve more, mainly due to double vision. So that's where I'm at today. I've seen improvements in the last 12 months, but they're tough to maintain. Like as soon as I go and spend many days in close-up mode, then I notice I can fall back very easily.
I was just talking to Lawrence, who admins the forum yesterday, actually, and we're going to have an episode coming out soon also, where we had a really similar discussion because he's at the last diopter-ish. He's been wearing around 1 diopter right now. And he's struggling with the same exact thing, the double vision, and that it's real easy to revert back to where you were. And I offered a lot of pointers there, so maybe that's a good episode for you also.
I'll look into it. So yeah, but it's like it's a very interesting journey. Like I've learned a lot about myself and about the medical community and being a bit more, say, making up my own mind more, not just with eyesight, but generally with medical things, as there have been other things on the side as well. But this one.
So how did you start? How did the whole thing start off? I'm always curious about this. So you discover Endmyopia and you start thinking about it. Walk me through the beginning part of the process, your first couple reductions.
Well, actually, like I was always curious why. Why do you need glasses? How like because the whole genetic argument didn't make fully sense to me. It felt like there's a gap. Particularly, my mother has -2.25 or something like that. My father and the rest of the family don't have anything. And I got my first prescription at 15. Broke my arm during skiing holiday the first day, and ended up spending the rest of the week in front of the Game Boy or books, and then noticed after that week, driving back at night, looking out the window, that things were blurry. And this was new to me at age 15. And the doctor told me, because I asked the doctor, why now? Like, where does it come from? And she said, it's genetic, like nothing you can do about it. And you know, the usual story. And of course, at 15, you're not confident enough to question a doctor like that. I heard 2 anecdotes. One brother of a colleague who told me that he skipped the glasses, and after about a year or so, he was able to see fine without them. He had -1 or something before. And I kind of started researching that. This was like 6 years ago. I started researching a bit online on, is it possible after all to improve your eyesight? And I kind of stumbled upon Bates' method and so on, and tried it for a few weeks, but then gave up. And then just before I discovered Endmyopia, my mother told me about a friend of hers who in Finland who's actually training people as well to improve their eyesight naturally. And she told me about that. And this was, again, my mother telling me this, so I thought this could be credible. So I started researching again, and I found the Bates method. I knew that from before, but then I found Endmyopia as well. And Endmyopia me as more credible because of the scientific articles it referenced. So I read all of those. I read all the material, and I thought conceptually this makes sense. I don't see any gap, but I was skeptical. I was still very skeptical, but hopeful if it's going to work or not. So I committed. I told myself, I'm going to try this for a month. For 4 weeks, I'll apply all the insights from your email, from all the material, from all the videos, and I'll measure it myself. And if I see any improvements after 4 weeks, I'll continue this. Well, I saw the first results after 14 days. I could really, my centimeters, even before that, when I saw that the measurements in the mornings would be better than in the afternoons and evenings, especially if you do close-up work during the day, that already hinted at, okay, there's something to this. I can measure myself day to day. My eyesight is worse in the evenings than in the mornings. And then after 14 days, I went from roughly 58 centimeters to 66 centimeters. That's like a quarter diopter, at least right there. And then after, so I was like, okay, there's some, even if I will never get to 2020, the improvement itself is already worth it. And then I continued. I went to an ophthalmologist after about 4 or 5 weeks into the journey, and they measured minus 1.25, minus 1.5. And that's like a quarter diopter difference to what I had just 5 weeks before. And I put my previous measurement on the table and her new current measurement on the table and asked her, is it possible to improve your eyesight? No, not possible. Like, I had both measurements on the table and she's like, no, it's the previous measurement was just a poor measurement. That was her explanation for it. I was like, okay, I knew already that this could be a possible response from her. Just 4 months after, I was at minus 0.75. And like that, this was I started, so this was like May when I started. So by August, I was below 1 diopter. And then I started to get more confident also in deciding my own prescription strength, because up to that point, I still took what they gave me, but I didn't have yet that confidence to lower it by a quarter diopter, to take measures into my own hands. And then after that, after I hit that 0.75, I decided, okay, I'm going to get 0.5s on top of it to start playing with that and see. And yeah, roughly another 3 months or so into it, I was good with those 0.5s. And then after that, it's been like a slow but curvy upward trend in terms of improving. Very slow. And you know, if I spend a week skiing or hiking or something like that, it'll be much better after that. But then you go back to your normal day at work with a lot of computer time and phone time and so on, and then it starts flattening out again. Actually, now this whole situation globally now, where you have to stay at home, I go out twice a day for a walk or so, and it's again improving. Like just that 20-minute walk twice a day or so makes a big difference. And I notice, like, it's amazing. Like when I look outside the window right now, it's like I can see the number plate 50 meters away, you know, on a Swiss small number plates, and it's there. It's like it might take a few seconds to clear it up, but it's not a few minutes anymore. It's a few seconds now. And after spending a half an hour outside, it'll be instantaneous clarity for 80% of the time. And it might just randomly fall back, you know, one blink and you have a double image again. But it gets easier and easier and easier to clear. And the time to get there is shorter and shorter and shorter. But it's still not stable, I would say. That's my main struggle at the moment is really stability. Like I can measure my eyesight I use these Landolt rings. Maybe you're familiar with them.
Yeah, sure.
They're nice, and like the 2025 is instant. I can get that, and the 2020 I will take a few seconds, look at it, and then it'll clear up. I can go to 2010 even occasionally for a short period, like for a few seconds. I can hold it there, but obviously not yet consistently. So yeah, but that's roughly where I'm coming from. I used quite a lot of, like the first, I was very motivated at the beginning to do this. Like I measured every day, 3 times a day, you know, for like the first 3 months. And I did active focus all the time. When I just thought about it, I moved my screen away. I turned my entire desk around in my office to be able to look out the window. Like the only one in the entire office who has their office setting differently than anyone else, because everyone else is facing the door. And even that slight change, I could see it in the measurements. Like after a week after making that little change, I had another jump in centimeters. So these kinds of like just applying, making like many small habit changes, and then waiting.
I like that you're saying all of that, because these are the things that I often put out there. Like, for example, like moving your desk near a window, being near natural daylight, all of these little things where so many times I wonder whether that arrives on the other end, you know, because I write it on a screen or I put it in a video, but I'm always in this space of, I wonder if that translates. So it makes me really happy when you say that.
It's surprisingly little effort to do all this. It's habits. That's for me. It's really about habits, and habits can be built. And you don't need to do all of the habits at once. You know, you introduce one little habit change, and then you do that for 2-3 months, and then you add another one. And I think the first one I really did was just to, because I was at low myopia, so I could really avoid the glasses in close up from the start. And that was the very first thing. Like just religiously, every time I pull out the phone or every time I look at a computer or a book, the glasses would come first. That's like the first habit change. And nowadays I'm curious actually about that. Not talking with you is the plus lenses, because I have 3 times the same hair here, minus 0.75, minus 0.5, and plus 0.5. So I use the plus ones now for extended close-up time. Which I've noticed is I haven't had any funny vision changes from it. I just noticed it's easier to clear up the distance afterwards compared to watching the screen without the plus glasses. And this is now since since I got them in early February, so several weeks using that. But I'm curious, like if there's anything else I might not know about plus lens use, or
It's plus lens use, I don't blanket recommend it because people overdo it. That's the first thing when we start talking about it. Since everybody's always looking for another shortcut, and the plus lens, when we first started talking about it, that turned into a year long. I was just getting emails all the time of people talking about plus lenses. So the main thing is you can overdo it. So if you're starting out your day and you're putting on the plus half diopter for an hour or two is enough. Like you don't need to do it all day. You don't need to do it all the time. And while I haven't found a definitive, this is how much you need, it really appears that any more than like half of your time is not productive. People after long periods of time start complaining like they're becoming, like the eyes are resisting the plus lens, like they're wearing them all the time constantly. They think that that makes up for all their close-up time, and then they get to the point where the eyes are just rejecting the plus. Like they put on the plus and their eyes get sore, they get a headache, and then that tool is no longer really that available for a while. So what I always say is an hour or two is plenty. Slowly step it up a little bit if you want to. Don't make it a substitute. And then 3 to 6 months, like in no rush, maybe step it up to a 0.75. And then again, revert back the use to less of that, right? Like, so if you go to the 0.75 at some point and it works for you, just a half an hour is fine. And always making sure that you're not using that as kind of a substitute for, you know, like subconsciously almost people go, I can spend another half an hour playing on my phone because I'm wearing these plus lenses, which negates the benefit. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Like that's what I've gathered as well from what you've posted so far on plus lens uses, that I will still do the distance vision outdoor time no matter what. It's not a substitute, but it seems to help with the negative effect of close-up time. And you
Disappeared.
well,
Yeah,
so
that and the phone use. That the phone use really is a thing where the ciliary lockup seems to happen for a lot of people pretty quickly. For myself, that's an issue, and I've taken a lot of steps. Like for example, I wear a smartwatch a lot of the time, so I get notifications on it, which disrupts my general behavior of taking the phone out of my pocket. I put my phone in a bag as opposed to my pocket, so I grab it less often. I defer a lot of phone stuff to the laptop, because even for me, even at this stage, still, it's really easy to slip into, I picked up my phone 100 times today, and then I played on it for 2 hours that I didn't think I did, and then I get a ciliary spasm, right? And then all the time you need to sort out that ciliary spasm is time that you're not making improvements. So besides the plus lens, the phone really is one that warrants checking how much you really need it.
yes, it is far closer to your eyes than a computer screen normally. So it's that's true. Yeah,
Or even
yeah, yeah.
even an iPad. Like if you throw an iPad in a bag, the goal always being that you disrupt this habit of taking the thing out of your pocket all the time. And then I'll just have the iPad, weighs nothing, and I'll stop in a coffee shop at some point and I'll catch up on messages. You know, like just the screen addiction, and the smaller the screen is, the closer we tend to hold it. And that's really what you want to avoid, right? Like, so bigger screens, that especially if you set it on a desk somewhere that maintains that distance. What you said earlier, those little habits is what adds up to all the difference. And the last hurdle that can be partially overcome sometimes with plus lens use, and then checking these little things that are holding you back, like the phone especially.
Double vision is very interesting as well. It's certainly different than clearing up the spherical, because that one was by far easier than the double vision. And it's funny. It's like I will need roughly a day or two complete outdoor time to really get a solid clarity and merging of the double images. just spending 3 hours straight close up and it's back. It's really, really sticky. And I'm wondering as well, like, it's actually a question for you is do you still experience double vision, you know, if you do that, or is it more spherical when you have a ciliary spasm?
Most people are not making that distinction very well. Yes, I do get it, but it takes me, the thing is I have a bad habit of stock trading where I claim I'm retired, but I still do it. For example, now in this COVID time, there's so much volatility that I'm somewhat addicted to following. So if I spend, it'll literally happen that I'll spend 12 or 14 hours looking at tabs on my screen. And when I get up from that to get outside, get on the motorbike to find some food, blur. And it's double vision, but it will be there. It will take me an hour, sometimes 2 hour walk to get rid of that. So I think that always happens unless you go slightly hyperopic, like you're wearing plus lenses and you really slowly build that up, which I wouldn't recommend. It's a little bit big of an effort. So you're a little bit hyperopic. People that do that report not having this issue. But for most of us, regular people, you do have to maintain that little thing, the small screens in front of your eyes, especially as you're trying to overcome this last hurdle, is really worth, even if you just say for the next 6 months, I'm really going to curb the little screen use, it can make a noticeable difference.
Yeah, that's like mastering that is really what's my concern right now is to find a way that's sustainable that I can do for the rest of my life. To get a hold of that double vision not coming back as strongly anymore. I suppose plus lenses are one tiny bit of it, but the other is really to make sure that you have the distance vision every day.
Yeah, and I get less of it. Like for example, as long as I maintain reasonable habits, which is 3 hours of screen and then an hour break, for me personally, even a half an hour, I don't get double vision anymore. Like it's not something that you're always going to struggle with. There's a period where it appears, best guess is that your visual cortex is trying to realign images that have changed, like the visual signal has changed that is arriving in your brain, and your brain is now trying to sort it out again, how to align all of that. And as you said, the more time you spend with distance vision, which is not just relaxing your ciliary, but it's also giving your brain a lot of that opportunity of sorting out, right? Like the image is not perfectly aligned, but it's always working on doing that. So the more chance it gets to do that relatively consistently, the less we're having ciliary spasm. You will get to a point where I would say if I'm not in this terrible habit that I'm in currently of spending a lot of time in front of screens, I never get double vision. But it can creep back in if I really overdo it.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's helpful advice, I think. But yeah, I mean, I'm not otherwise pretty straightforward story. Like as I said, I've made it a very big point in my life to get to 2020, and I'm looking forward to the day when I get my driver's license written out that I can actually drive without glasses. During the day, I really don't need them. I can see my girlfriend has never glasses, and I can see the same as she can during bright daylight. So I'm really waiting for getting that official stamp that I can drive without glasses. It's not you don't need 2020 for that. You need like 2030 or something like that for that.
Yeah, I don't know about. I don't know in Switzerland, but like for example, in the US, it's 2040.
Yeah,
And it depends.
Yeah, stronger eye, I think it's 0.6 or 5, and the weaker eye 0.3 or so. So 2040 in a stronger eye and I don't know, 20, 60 or so in the weaker eye. But I went to an optometrist a few months ago, and they said I'm at the limit, you know, right on the edge of that. And I feel it's a bit more challenging when they do the test with a mirror and a screen, like a projection with the different letters. Because if they were to do the test in a bright daylight, you know, I know I'd get close to 20 in this test environment. So it's not really there. On the other hand, I understand you have nighttime vision as well, where you need to drive. So for that, maybe it's a bit more balanced. But I'm very close. Like, I'm very confident that maybe even. I don't want to make any predictions because I've learned that it can take longer than you think. I thought a year ago that by the end of 2019 I'll be done, but nope. The Pareto principle applies to this very nicely as well. The first 80% is fast, and the last 20% can take just as long. But yeah, outlook is good. Like, I'm very, very positive injection into my life. What you've done. Setting this up, big, very grateful.
Thank you. What you said in the beginning, I do, and it definitely, it resonates with me because I had a similar, my parents are both doctors, and I had a pretty strong trust in the medical industry in general, which has definitely been shaken by my vision journey, especially like the experience that you shared where they just insist, even though the papers in front of them, that this is not possible, made me question a lot of things and made me wander down many rabbit holes and try to avoid many conspiracies. Because like you said, right? I mean, it definitely makes you wonder about things that previously you may not have questioned.
Yeah. It's, I mean, you've talked about these on other podcasts as well, like diet and like health in general, various diseases and so on. Not everything has to have the strong chemical based medicine or so. You might find a natural way to improve or even heal things. And like I do a lot of sports and pretty conscious about dieting as well. And I've noticed a lot of other things where the mainstream or the first Google results you'll get are exactly that mainstream BS. And when you dig deeper, you might find that there are other ways. I've been lucky that like my mother as well, she's in the medical industry, but also has a open mind towards the alternative ways. And there's a lot of we need to be careful with it nonetheless. Like that's why I said you need to make up your own mind and do your own research and test it for yourself and see if it works for you. And that's why I applied exactly to Endmyopia as well. I said, if the results speak, then I'll take a leap of faith. But if they don't, then they don't. And they did.
That's awesome. I'm super happy. And like I said before we started, this was highly overdue. And I was really kind of looking forward to your update since we haven't spoken before. It's definitely,
yeah.
And you're almost there. You're so close.
Very close. I'll make sure to make a post when I get that driver's license, whenever that may happen. I will do that. And for sure, I'm waiting for the day as well to post a video of my own to share with all my friends. Like a lot of friends know that I'm doing this, some don't, but I just want to make that, because even just yesterday I saw some friend posting that they got LASIK, and I'm always thinking, there's another way. Most people just don't know, and I don't know. Maybe even if one or two friends will embark on this journey, it's already a good thing.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see where this is going and over time. Like, I'm really hopeful. It's a big challenge because you have the whole medical establishment basically still pushing against it, especially in the Western world. But I actually forgot to mention, I had one doctor in Finland, one ophthalmologist, and he actually told me to relax my eyes. This was many years ago. I didn't know what he meant by that. Relax your eyes, or not to strain your eyes so much. He didn't explain that any further, but he told me that. And I think he might be one of those few that knows that you can improve your eyesight just the way you can worsen them. But there are very few like that, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's awesome. I'm really happy that not only that you went on this journey, but also that you're willing to share. Because what you were saying, I think my current thing is just to have conversations. I just want to have these conversations, just firsthand experiences. People say it's anecdotal, which obviously it is. But I think I've put out everything I can put out as far as solutions and tricks and all the little details. And I feel like now we're at the stage of let's just talk about it. Right? Like, let's see where you're at. And I think it's super meaningful. It's super meaningful to me personally, and hopefully it's also meaningful to others to see your face and hear you tell the story of where you started out and where you're at currently. And hopefully that encourages people to make that same leap.
I hope so too. Definitely.
All right. Well, thanks for being on. I think this might do it. And maybe we'll have another update when you get your driver's license.
Yeah, I would be very happy to do that. Like, I'm very excited to to get to that day.
All right, and that's it for this episode. Hopefully you found it useful. There are several more episodes already done online in our podcast channel that you can listen to. Lawrence, that we talked to very recently, who has similar challenges in that last diopter range. You'll also find other episodes with participants who didn't have any challenges getting through the last diopter. So listen to those, compare those, see what applies in your particular scenario. If you haven't yet, subscribe to the podcast in your favorite podcast app or watch them on our YouTube channel. Talk to you in the next one.
Meow, 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 meow.